Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Empower Podcast, a podcast run by healthcare professionals for healthcare professionals, with a goal of raising transparency and awareness, with a goal of, as of July 11th, to have legislation passed in the state of Colorado mandating an employer-backed wellness through a minimum of 2 minimum wellness days for all healthcare professionals per quarter, a minimum deposit into an HSA account per quarter that is tax exempt, and the establishment of a retaliation department that is run by a third party. With that, do you know any healthcare professionals who would benefit from a podcast like this? If so, please invite them to check it out, especially if they're interested in employer-supported wellness. Our goal is to continue running the podcast with healthcare professionals at the helm, and we're always looking for new voices to join the conversation. Today, our guest is KB. Hi, KB.
Hi.
She's coming to us from, where were you at?
Ohio.
Ohio. All right. Well, welcome to the Empower Podcast. We encourage our listeners to share their experiences anonymously. And if you prefer, you can email us at empowera1@proton.me. And if you forget, it's the word empower, then the letter A, 1@proton.me. We're also looking for volunteer members to assist with our day-to-day functioning and editing if possible. It's been made streamlined a lot easier than probably you're thinking right now. At that too, the Empower Podcast is available on various platforms, including Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and is dedicated to providing up-to-date and accurate information to its listeners. So follow us on your preferred platform of choice to stay informed and empowered in the ever-changing landscape of healthcare. So sit back, be yourself no matter what, and get ready to be empowered. All right, KB, this is the part of the show where we do a big thank you at the beginning to all the members of the healthcare field and everyone in the workforce making a difference in any way that they do. They're number one. We know who you are. We love you. Is there a shout out you'd like to give, KB?
I just want to shout out to all of those that are tired, that are questioning whether or not they should go on. Keep moving forward. Keep doing what you're doing. You are awesome. And always, always remember, you are in control of what you want to do.
Ooh, I love it. Oh, and thank you all for all you do. Let's see here. Okay, KB, can you tell us a little bit about what brought you into healthcare and what part of the healthcare field that you work in?
Currently, I am working as a GI nurse. I do not work in a hospital. I work in a private setting. And I came to healthcare about 6-7 years ago. It's a second career for me, so I'm an older nurse, although I'm a young grad. I was a paralegal before this, and I always knew I loved people and I wanted to help people, but I wasn't quite sure how. I had a lot of things happen in my life that made the setup work for me to be able to go to school full time. And I got my bachelor's back in 2016, and I've been working in nursing ever since.
Wow. So this is the part where I, as the interviewer, or anybody who is the interviewer, gets to think to themselves, does this person make you feel empowered? And the answer for this, KB, is yes. I have a feeling you definitely make me feel empowered. But leading
Wonderful.
in from that, yes. Leading in from that, we get to the juicy question of the episode, which is, what, in your opinion, is happening in healthcare?
My opinion has a lot of different aspects, and I'm sure people are going to be hesitant about some of the things I'm saying. Everybody has their own opinions, and I definitely respect that. I really feel that in nursing, we are finally getting the respect that I think that we've been trying so hard to get when it comes to salary and equality for all that we do. The field of nursing and the avenue of travel, and Brett, you know, I don't have a lot of experience in this, but as you and I have talked, I'm definitely interested in traveling once my life is set up to the point that I'm able to. And I think getting out and meeting new people, seeing new places, and seeing different aspects of nursing will help me in my career and as a person grow. But the future, I really think, is in travel. I really think that we are making such a stand of everybody leaving, or my experience, a lot of my nurse friends that have left, going into travel. whether it be the demanding hours in the hospital or the on-call or just the disrespect that we've gotten for so long. We're now saying with travel, hey, you're going to pay me what I'm worth, and I'm going to have the ability to pick and choose what I want to do when I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is what is attracting me to it the most. I think a lot of the executives in healthcare are really starting to tremble because we're gaining more power with being honest about what we expect and how we are such a needed and just, they could not function without us. And we have put up with not being able to go to the bathroom, not taking breaks, just go for 12 hours, and you are absolutely exhausted when you're done. I'm sure, as everybody knows, we've been floor nurses. If you haven't, we all know how difficult it is and the disrespect. Just buying me a pizza is not going to make it better. What you can do is maybe work harder at finding something that's going to give me relaxation. Hey, why don't you give me a massage card for, an hour after I leave? I can go do something that's going to benefit my outlook.
Right. So with that, I want to jump in. This is fire. So, this goes down to what I would call wellness. So like with this HSA account potential, I just wanted to involve this, like that you wouldn't have to wait for them to get the card. It would already be in your HSA account. You would schedule it yourself. If anything, they would just make sure you're using that account. Yeah.
Okay. So they say, okay, let's go to Massage Envy.
Yeah.
And here's my account number. Call and make the appointment. And here's my account number. You go do you, and here's a thank you for what you do.
I like this. Wow. Yeah. And would that, hold on, but we laugh, but would that overall contribute to your wellness? Would you say?
Absolutely. I think it would.
Wow. Okay. I interjected here, but like, so are there any specific issues that you felt like weren't addressed fully, like in the past, like any past or maybe present or just, like just around the corner incidents that you'd like to mention today that like where incidents could have been maybe handled better, or if they were handled well, like, what did the employer say? Like what actions were kind of taken?
Well, I think it's definitely an issue that everybody has is staffing. Mm-hmm. Like we have call-offs, and then in the particular place that I work, it's an outpatient surgery center. We have a call-off, and it's like we're all scrambling to try to make up for that person. So we now have to forego a break, or we don't get a lunch because we just have to continue doing the procedures and going. Mm-hmm. And a lot of days, I don't even have 5 minutes. And that's really, really difficult. So I know it's difficult on the employers because you can only, like we use a lot of PRN nurses, and those PRNs have other jobs that they're doing, or they have families, and they can't just drop whatever it is doing for the day and come in because they have another life going on as well. And I think that is a huge problem that I have no idea what the solution is. But again, as a nurse, I'm expected to pick up the slack. Mm-hmm. And that's where I start feeling disrespected, because if you go too many days without a lunch, then what happens? You get burned out. Mm-hmm. And then what happens with burnout? You want to leave. Mm-hmm. But then the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
Wow. That's it. Yeah.
Staffing is huge. And that's the reason why I am not at all interested in getting into management. Mm-hmm. It's not that I don't want to help. It's just, I don't have the answers, and I wouldn't even know where to go to try to find what those answers are.
Right.
Because everybody has a life, Mm-hmm. Just because I'm PRN doesn't mean you can call me at 5:30 in the morning and I now have to report to work at 7.
Right. Your lack, there's a phrase. I actually had a roommate, when I was down in southern Denver, and it was, lack of planning on your part does not necessitate an emergency on mine.
Exactly. Your fire is not my fire.
Yeah. We as nurses already inherit, and that's the way I look at it is I said it to another nurse and I was talking with her, but we inherit, the actual stress of the floor, what's really going on with those patients when we take them on as our load, and with that, I mean, not everybody's really doing that, that way. And we've increased ratios to the point where now not only were we doing that before, but we've turned up the knob on what we're doing that before with in the situation. But yeah, no, you're definitely up to something.
No, it was fun.
And it's a good something. There's nothing wrong here. Nothing wrong here at all. Like
when I was a floor nurse, we would like walk around and say, hey, what would happen if our CNO would have to come in and, help out at 11 o'clock at night? How willing are they really going to do that? Because now we're getting 5 admits. We're past the time that anybody could ever be called to come in, and we're expected to pick up the slack.
Yeah. Wow.
And where is that help? Where is that gratitude at 3 o'clock in the morning when, there's been a multi-car vehicular accident and we're short-staffed on the floor, yet we've got all these trauma patients now coming up to med-surg, yet we don't have nursing staff to handle it. What is the hospital going to do?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know a nurse that was just telling me they work for the same agency I do. They're in the Denver area. They legitimately texted their agency and asked before even going to the shift, they asked what the ratio was going to be. And they were told it was a 1-20 ratio. They would have a single hall. And with that, they were told it was a 1-20 ratio. That's what they were told. They didn't say that part yet. Then when they showed up, they had 2 carts. They had 2 carts. They had 2 carts. They were using a charting system that they had never used before. Thankfully, their nursing supervisor / charge for the day stopped and had a 15-minute training on the computer system before this nurse had 35 patients to pass meds on. Mind you, we're not done yet too. Is that hold on. And then the CNAs were supposed to get vitals and the nurse had to get blood sugars. This nurse was getting blood sugars and the blood pressures themselves. So they honestly did not get done with their med pass. And it was supposed to start at 8 o'clock, right? That didn't get done until 1 o'clock.
See, I think if the general public knew what was really going on behind these, quote, closed doors, I think there would be more people stepping up to the plate that would help.
If anybody is there, just love your healthcare professionals. Call your legislators. Talk about this kind of stuff. I'm speaking out for me. I'm declaring I would love support. I'll definitely say that. So and if it's through the legislation and whatnot, great. But yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I was just looking up a statistic yesterday. The hardest hit sector of healthcare was nursing homes. So this person who was working, they're still, literally inheriting what happened from COVID and being an agency nurse on 2 halls with 34 patients to 1 nurse and 2 carts. And then
that is insane.
Yeah. And what they do is for put downs, they'll bring in a CNA from 7 to 10, an extra CNA to help with put downs. Then they have a CNA on each hall. But in addition to that, there's still some people that in the morning need blood pressures as well. So it's like the CNAs weren't doing vitals as they were supposed to. And that's what was putting stuff behind. Well, and the nurse not speaking up maybe and asking for help could be it too. It could be a number of different facets. If anything, though, you're right, though. It has nothing to do with us. We could easily contemplate and rationalize what's happening, right? But what's actually happening is are you going into a shift being set up for success or are you going into a shift being set up for failure?
Perfect.
Yeah. And I think honestly, the thing is, because we're going to inherit, in my opinion, we're still going to inherit like an actual shift of whatever could happen, X, Y, and Z. And that's a nursing shift. That's a shift in general. Excuse me, not just nursing. That's a shift in general for healthcare. I apologize. Yeah. And that's anybody. I mean, even registration gets yelled at. I worked as a patient transporter in Akron, Ohio, and I saw that kind of stuff happen. They're members of the healthcare team. They're still inheriting the stress of the patient. That's the way to put it, which is a part of the patient experience.
Our receptionists, secretaries come to us and they're like, hey, watch out. This patient's not going to
They have your back, don't they? Or, they're a part of the team.
They're seeing the first level, this patient really is not too happy. This is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And we have that communication and it actually sets up the whole day because it's kind of like when your first patient is miserable, a lot of other patients are going to be miserable and you just have to keep on, just keep going and try to make their life a little better. That's what I do when I'm in.
So hold on, leading into that, we're getting to the next question. What would, first of all, after today, do you want to continue in your current occupation?
I do.
All right. And then with that, what would be an empowering piece of advice for someone looking to going into your line of work? Especially, and then you can include like kind of questions for like employment, things to look for, or just whatever it is, general empowering piece of advice from KB.
Well, I definitely think you have to be compassionate enough, yet allow to have things roll off your back. Know that whatever that patient is dealing with, yes, is your problem, but you can only do so much. That patient has to decide what their mood's going to be, how they're going to react to whatever your nursing role or your nursing jobs, whatever it is that your order is that you need to do. If you have to do 15 sticks in the next 10 hours, that's what you have to do. And that patient, I think, needs to be open and willing to do that and not grumble every time I come around that I need to give you another stick. Mm-hmm. So allowing things to roll off your back and recognizing making a mistake, one, does not make you a bad nurse. We all make mistakes. We're human. We're not robots. And two, you have to have enough self-confidence or enough inner calmness to help people relax, because everybody gets super, super scared when it comes to, oh my gosh, this is my body. What can go wrong? What can happen? Is it going to hurt? And having a positive attitude, recognizing that your time with this patient's limited, whether it be 12 hours or 2 minutes, mm-hmm. and using communication and your other staff members to help you when you're in the woods.
Yep. Remembering the team. That's what I got from that. That's what I got from that.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from patients that, they were really nervous coming in. We're doing this procedure. Nobody wants a GI procedure. I mean, it's not fun. It's a little bit embarrassing. You don't know what to expect.
Right.
You're going to be asleep, and what's going to happen when I'm asleep? Am I going to lose control? People are really, really scared. And I think trying to help them relax, attacking those fears and opening up for questions, even the patient that wants to just run out of there and never do this. I had one of those last week. Mm-hmm. Just talking it through. One of our doctor that did the procedure actually spent 15 minutes with this patient in pre-op talking him off the ledge of leaving. And it wasn't because he was trying to get money from the procedure. It had nothing to do with that. This doctor is just an amazing, caring person. Mm-hmm. And he knew that the scans that he needed to get this done, but he was just so scared because of the anticipation. What's going to happen? What is he going to find? But for that doctor to take the time when you've got another 12 patients to go after this one was what keeps me there and keeps me inspired to keep going.
Wow. Yeah. I feel that. I get that, KB. And it's when that happens, and that doesn't happen in nursing school. They don't have like a portion in the curriculum where they're like, here, you get to see somebody that really loves their job and doesn't care about time and actually takes time for the patient. Like, yes. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I didn't see that in the curriculum at all, but you run into it and it happens and it's out there, and lest you forget it. I agree with, wow.
And I also, I guess another reason why I stay is, when I first started, we had one particular nurse that was a little difficult. She could definitely be in the category that, some older nurses eat their young, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And me not being young in age, but me being young even in GI, she was kind of taking advantage of my naiveness. And she was doing things that she thought would help, but she was actually getting into, I guess, things that could get her fired. And she finally got caught one day about it. So she violated HIPAA, and she thought she was doing a benefit for me. Whether or not she was trying to make me look bad is probably another take, but they ended up letting this particular nurse go. And the executive director, who's a surgeon, came over to me and said, KB, I want you to know this kind of behavior is not acceptable. we are taking care of the situation and I have your back. And when he told me I have your back, never, even in business as a paralegal working for attorneys, have I ever had a boss or an executive tell me, I've got your back.
Wow.
That was amazing and inspiring.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I stay.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot has opened up for you.
I can tell new nurses coming in, don't be afraid to talk to those that, you think are above you. They're looking at you because you know the patient the best, and they recognize what your skills are if they're a good person. And there are definitely a lot of really good people in nursing care and in healthcare in general. It doesn't have to be a doctor. It doesn't have to be, the nurse or the respiratory therapist. It can even be, in the OR, the person that's doing cleanup on the floors with the blood that gets shattered all over.
Yeah.
It's all about respecting one another. And
I
think
agree.
if you go in, if you're a new nurse and you go in looking at those kinds of things, you will be more open to the experience.
Oh my gosh. And all that opens up for you. I'm so glad you just said what it is you said, because I think some of the best conversations I have, and it's not to put down anybody that has a degree or had to work for a certification, but they have been the other people of the healthcare field. I'll never forget Miss Betty when I worked at Akron Summa Hospital. I don't know if she's retired or not. If you're still in there and you're listening, Miss Betty, I love you so much. You had a huge impact on my career. Yeah, she worked registration, and there's times where I'd see a doctor would call up on the floor, and she handled it for the whole floor. And we all trusted her. She had our backs. Like, if the doctor would be like, well, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, she'd go, okay, well, I need you to show up on the floor. And then she would hang up on him. She'd do that kind of stuff. And I'll tell you what, patient care on that floor, the way ratios were, I'll never forget being there as a tech back in school. It was 2 nurses for every assignment. So for whatever it was, I know. And it was a rehab floor, 6 West. I'll never forget it. And then my clinical instructor, before I got the job there, her name was Erica Davis. And shout out to Erica Davis. Shout out to Mary Beth Riebenoff.
I too started my career at Summa.
Yeah, see?
I don't know if you knew that.
No, I did not. Wow.
I was on 3 West.
Small world. I've been on 3. When I was a transport, I went everywhere in that hospital. I've been on 3 West plenty of times. But yeah, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Well, this has been such a good interview. KB, you're re-invited back. I'd love to have you back.
Oh,
if and when you'd like. Yeah.
I know sometimes I'm a little tired. It's a little early. I haven't had my full cup of coffee.
This has been
kind of
fire.
I apologize.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really open. If anybody wants to contact me to ask questions, I'm definitely open for the newer ones. Brett, somehow, I don't know, you can make me available through the podcast.
Yeah. I can actually, if you want.
To talk again. I love to inspire people.
Oh my
And I think it's really important that we all stick together to show one another support.
120%. Oh yeah. Yeah, I said 120%. I was agreeing. Sorry, I got really, really into it. I'm very animated. Yeah.
Good.
So, all right. So with that, we have an empowering quote, everybody, that KB has personally handpicked for you all. We're going to do that. Is there anything else you'd like to mention before we close out here?
No, it's wonderful. I'm really happy that you're doing this for us, Brett. I think it's a really good idea. We definitely need a platform that we can feel comfortable to express. Mm-hmm. And I think it just continues to empower us to be able to be the best that we could be in a really difficult time that we're all going through right now. So we're all together. We're in the same boat.
120%. Thank you for the compliment. Wow. All right. With that, I want to also let you all know that now there is, and I didn't mention at the beginning, so you had to stay. If you're a Marvel fan, we know why you waited till the end. So here it is. So there's a hiking spree and a walking spree that has now started. It is all self-guided. If you're curious, you can go ahead and look up my Facebook profile. You don't have to be my friend. It's fine. It's right there available to the public. My name is Brett, Brett. Last name is Buzzelli. That's like Buzz Lightyear, Buzz. E as in Echo, double L as in Lima, I as in India. And on there, you'll be able to find the whole post. There's about 4 different links to platforms. And again, you don't have to click the link. You can put it into the URL and type it yourself. And you can find trails all around you. There's one that's called All Trails. I've used that for probably, I think, since COVID. And if you are into the app, you can download it and you can track yourself while you're out on your hikes and whatnot, track your elevation, look at, I mean, even before you go out, there's a platform where people can put what the conditions of the trails are too. So you can look that up and see what the weather and forecast is too, all through the app, or on the website as well. So that's one of them. And with that, there's different colors to wear throughout each week, throughout the week, all through June. Each day corresponds with a specific color. So if you're out hiking, you can go ahead and run into a medical professional if they have the same color on, and you guys can strike up conversation, talk about your wellness, talk about what's happening in healthcare. And also, if you'd like, after that conversation, feel free to be a guest here on the Empower podcast. So with that, we're going to go ahead and end with this quote. It's picked by KB, and it is, wish it. Excuse me, 1 second, please. Okay, it is, wish it, dream it, and do it. And that is an anonymous quote. So KB, I want to thank you very much for being a guest on here. And this is the Empower podcast, everybody. Hope you have a great one. Until next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.